I have lived in this city for 11 years, and I have never once gone to a WWE event in my life in San Diego until tonight. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining us late this evening. I'm just getting home from Monday Night Raw. I attended the show this evening. It was a really good time, and I'm going to be relying on a lot of your feedback this evening to let me know how this came off on television. Didn't look like it was really that wonderful of a Monday Night Raw, but regardless of whether the shows are good or bad or all of WWE's problems, which there are a plethora of, the shows are always fun to go to live. I had a great time at SummerSlam, and I had a great time tonight at Raw. My seats were very good and very interesting, and I was almost like kind of behind the Tron a little bit, right down on like the front row on the bottom level. And so I couldn't even really see the stage because I was behind the stage, but I saw all sorts of activity behind the Tron, which was pretty cool, and overall had a great time. And the experience in San Diego in that arena was pretty good. And it's not an arena that's very nice. It's kind of older and stuff, and part of that's the reason why I haven't really been to a show before, and I really regret it because the San Diego crowd brought it. They bring it every time, apparently, when there's a show here, and the crowd was really hot for everything tonight. They were reacting to everything, and I really enjoyed the vibe from the audience on Raw tonight. So I'll be judging from you guys based on your feedback here and your comments, what you thought of the show. I'm really going to need some letter grades from you guys, or number grades, A, B, C, or D, or 1 through 10. Let me know what you thought overall of the program. And, if I was watching on on TV, I would probably go 6.5 on or something like that for a show like this, but it was a lot of fun. I didn't have time to put up any, if you follow me on Twitter, by the way, at Good Mic Work, there's a ton of photos and videos from the show tonight, but the image that you see on the screen here, I actually took that up at the top when I was going to the bathroom. I stopped and turned around and wanted to get a shot of those balloons and stuff, but where my seats were, if you look at that photo, right down in the bottom right-hand corner, there's that little white thing sitting on the ledge there. That's basically where my seat was. So I was kind of behind the Tron a little bit, and I was right directly in front of all the pyro they set off all night. So my ears were ringing. It's been a long time since I've heard pyro that close up before. I'd have to trace it back to my Attitude Era days and going to shows back then. So overall, it was kind of cool. Plus, I got a glimpse behind the production area and saw a few wrestlers walk by, and I was able to kind of see some of the plans they had, the big red carpets and the balloons and all that shit was kind of back there. So they were kind of making it known when the next segments were going to happen. All in all, it was pretty cool, just to sit in a crowd for Monday Night Raw for the first time. I haven't been to a Raw in I don't know how long. I ended my long running streak of not going to shows back in 2018 when I went to TakeOver and Survivor Series, but I didn't attend Raw. And then I went to the first SmackDown on Fox and Staples, and went to SummerSlam, but have not been to a Raw, I would say, since 2004 or 2005 was the last time I attended a Monday Night Raw. So I guess it was some pretty good history for me too. And some things, as much as things have changed over the years when it comes to going to live shows, some things change, but some things stay the same. The crowd still behaves the same way. They still are wooing everywhere. They've been doing that shit since the 90s. Little things the WWE does in between commercials and before the show and after the show and shit like that is still very much the same, although they don't have the kick-ass dark matches like they used to have at the end of the show, with all the main stars. I mean, sometimes they do that, and they did it recently with Cena, but that seems to be a thing of the past. A lot of crap they did there was a lot of what I remember from going to shows like back in the day, going to many, many Monday Night Raws, classic, historical Monday Night Raws. So it was kind of cool to be there tonight. Don't know if I'll go to a show again. I think if I do, I'm just going to splurge for the experience and try to, even if I have to pay through the nose for them, just try to get ringside seats, even if I have to go to StubHub or eBay or something like that to try to get them. Maybe next time Raw is in town, I'll shoot for something like that just to make it even more fun. But regardless, my experience personally was a lot of fun based on the results here. By the way, shout out to Ryan Cook of Fightful.com, who's wrote up these Raw results that I'm going to be reading because I didn't have a chance really at the show to take any notes. I didn't want to take any notes while I was there. So I figured I'd just come home, pull up the results off a website, and kind of read through you the matches and my memories and how I perceived them from where I was sitting and what I was doing, shit like that. So if there was any interesting announcements on commentary on SummerSlam or Raw tonight, I really missed them. So I've got to play catch up this week in terms of what I missed. But you guys can help fill me in as we go in some of the questions I might have for you guys as to what they set up here tonight, how the announcers were playing it off, and if we're going to be going with Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre again or something. I think like Lashley and Goldberg might be working Crown Jewel along with Brock and Roman probably. But now in the immediate future for Extreme Rules and whatnot, I'm not sure what they've got planned for Lashley. Really don't know. It feels like it might be McIntyre again, but I'll judge it from what you guys think and what you guys say. Let me just say hello to those of you who are in here in the chat. And again, thank you to those of you who are staying up late, perhaps. If you're on the East Coast, it's after midnight. For me, it's only 20 after 9, so it's not that late for me. But I knew it was going to take me a full hour plus to get up here if I was to do a review. So thanks for being here tonight. It has been a long, wild, crazy weekend. I feel like I'm starting to lose my voice. Just from all the talking, all the traveling, everything going on. So I am ready for a break after this podcast here. I don't think you'll hear from me again until Thursday. Probably come up here and do a news brief and talk about Dynamite. CM Punk's going to be on that show. Might even come up Wednesday night and do a review after Dynamite. However, when I've done Wednesday night streams, my numbers are not good. So I think it's best I might just have to wait until the next day. I'll play it by ear, but you'll get me either Wednesday night after Dynamite or Thursday afternoon. And then, of course, I'll try to be back up here Saturday for the podcast. But I need a couple of days to rest and rebound from all this crap. It was a long weekend indeed. And we had TakeOver last night. And for those of you who might not have seen it, I was up here after TakeOver doing a full show review and giving you guys my thoughts on my experience at SummerSlam and letting you guys know what I thought of the show. We reviewed the whole card, gave you my opinions, my thoughts, the mistakes that were made in my mind, the head-scratching booking, which does look like it makes a little bit more sense today with the news coming out that apparently what we saw at SummerSlam with Becky Lynch was a heel turn. So, that's, everybody's freaking out about that. I'm like, well, that's kind of good news. I don't know why WWE would want to turn Becky heel, but they did. And at least this means that I think it's all but guaranteed that Bianca will at some point beat Becky for that title back. Instead of having a couple of babyface matches where Becky just kind of gets put over like Charlotte. So Becky apparently is a heel now. I don't hate that decision. Everybody's like, oh my God, I can't believe it. I'm like, what's so bad about that? If you remember, they were trying to make her a badass heel before Nia popped her in the face. And then once that happened, she was like instant babyface. And, they turned her into, the female Stone Cold Steve Austin or whatever they were trying to do with her. She was very, very over. So, that's run its course. She went off and had a baby. She came back. And now, they're going to maybe try that heel turn they tried with her a couple of years back. So I don't know where this outrage is coming from. If I'm WWE, I don't know if that's the decision I'm making. But now that it's happened, I'm like, it can't be so bad. Because Becky would come back within a couple of weeks. She'd be stale and all this shit. And fans were kind of not being too kind to Bianca's run either by no fault of her own. I think it's just WWE that was kind of frustrating the fans and making her run a little bit underwhelming. So they shook things up. I don't agree with the squash and the right hand and the rock bottom for the win. I think Bianca should have thrown a punch or a kick or something like that. But Becky's a heel now. We'll see how that plays out. Becky and Brock both advertised this Friday for SmackDown. But we got plenty of time to get into that shit. And if you guys have any other wrestling news you want me to touch on here tonight, we'll do that as well. But since it's a little bit later, I don't want to waste too much time. I've already wasted enough as it is. So hello to Ryan Fippen. Sunny Man is here. Trash Gamer, Dark Angel, Population 420. Met Daniel at SummerSlam a couple days ago. Good to meet you, my friend, and glad you're back. We've got Nick Musser. We've got Michael Cuomo. Right on. How Weezy and Deshaun Robinson are here. I got my Monkey Wrenches, Stone Cold, JJ Leg, Sports Consigliere. David Hosea. We've got Sunny Man. George Morris is here with $5. Can't wait to read this one. Hey, Greg, how are you? How was it being at Raw live? The last WWE show I attended was Raw from October 18th, 1999, night after No Mercy, 10 out of 10. Wow, so you were there the night that Jeff Jarrett debuted on Nitro, huh? That was crazy. I was at a show just a couple of weeks before you. Very interesting. No Mercy. The show you were at was 10 out of 10. I'll have to look at those Raw results and find out what happened that night and what the fallout from the No Mercy 99 show was. Was that Austin and Triple H? Is that what that show was? I think it was. I remember that being kind of an underwhelming show, but you gave it a 10 out of 10. Welcome back, George. Thanks for being here. Tomas Aridia, thank you for the $2. Please tell me you booed Logan Paul. Of course we booed Logan Paul. Man, was he super unpopular in San Diego. They booed the shit out of him. Dean Spanos is more popular in San Diego than Logan Paul. That was hilarious. He couldn't even get a word out, and fans were just booing him like crazy. However, I will say this for Logan Paul. As The Miz and Morrison are still talking in the ring and Logan is leaving, I don't know if this was during commercial or not, but the cameras are focused on Miz and Morrison. Paul's just walking away, and as he's leaving, a little kid screams out to him to come over and sign his belt. He's got like a replica red Universal title. So Logan signs it, and I can see the kid. I can read the kid's lips from where I'm sitting. And he's like, will you take a picture? And he's like, yeah. And he takes a picture with the little kid. Very cool. So I was like, maybe he's not that huge of a dick. But these, just young, delusional, rich, too rich for their own good, YouTube personalities or influencers, they all want to make me barf. But at least that was kind of a nice gesture by Logan Paul. So I'm just trying to be fair. Don't like him. Glad the crowd booed the shit out of him, but he isn't the Antichrist. He did that kid a solid and probably made the kid's day. So shout out to Logan Paul, I guess. Stone Cold 10X, thanks, dude, for the $2. What do you think Karrion Kross' safe word is? Jesus. I'll tell you what, the response on social media to whatever the fuck Karrion Kross was wearing is the most entertaining shit I've read all week. It looked like Demolition fucked He-Man. I don't know what's going on. I cannot believe that they have messed with him when there wasn't really anything wrong with his presentation at all. They've deliberately fucked it up. And I just don't get it. I mean, the guy lost the NXT title last night, so now he's on Raw. Shout out to him. That match was in fucking Florida last night. Kross made the trip all the way over here in time for Raw, to face Ricochet. But man, he came out wearing that shit. We'll get into it. But I'm like, what are they doing? God, he was fine. He was fine. What? Every single fan, I'd say not the majority of the audience, 90% or better, thought that Karrion Kross had a great entrance, great music, great presentation. Maybe there's some that didn't like him. I did. I thought it all looked great, especially when you add Scarlett to that. So everybody likes it. And so what do they do? But yet backstage, WWE's like, oh, the fans, they don't know what the fuck they like. Let's just change everything. Let's change something that wasn't broken at all and completely screwed up and give the fans a reason to make fun of it. And then Karrion Kross doesn't deserve that. It's fucking bullshit. But he came out wearing that, looked ridiculous. And I thought it was just his entrance gear. I thought he would take that shit off, but he wrestles in it. He wrestles in that thing, suspenders or whatever it is. So, oh my God. But we called it. We said it a couple of months ago. I'm like, as soon as he appeared on Main Event, I'm like, oh shit, the magic is going to be gone because they are going to fuck him up. And they did. Oh my God. But we'll get into it. I think it's pretty funny, at least the responses that I've seen on social media. People are like, WWE, what are you doing, you idiots? Barry MK is here too. Real YouTube or Real YT. Sonic Plays, JC, saying G is back. Good to see you, my friend. Big Glenn, Transferring Heat, Joseph Rodriguez, Eula Twins, Mike Witt, Michael Cuomo, I got you already. I'm sorry. Deshaun Robinson, thanks for the $2. Karrion Kross, a.k.a. Kinky Jason, a.k.a. Shredder. Kinky Jason. I like that. KJ. Kinky Jason. I wouldn't say he's fine without Scarlett. He's nothing. I'm not going to go that far. Let's not be ridiculous here. Scarlett definitely helps, but, you don't want a situation where the woman is so much more over than the guy. That happened with Mark Marrow and Sable. I don't think that's the case to Kross and Scarlett. I always thought they complemented each other really well. Where when Marrow was out there, the fans really weren't too much interested in what he was doing. It was all about Sable. They were chanting Sable's name. Scarlett might be a hair more over than Kross, maybe, but I still think them as a pair looked really good, and there was just no reason to really mess with that. So now they're turning him into Kinky Jason, and that's fine. We'll see where it goes. Probably nowhere pleasant. But I'm going to kind of read through the results of the show tonight. If you guys would do me a favor, smash the thumbs up button for me and help me out on the likes because they are very important, and my likes have never in the history of the channel been lower than they are right now, so I could really use that before I have to start turning tricks on the corner to make ends meet. So help me out. I do not want to join Baron Corbin in that type of broke, sad misery. Although apparently he had quite the weekend in Vegas and won some money. Might even get a new shirt and had a big ribeye. So good for Corbin. And who would have thought? Go back to 1 year ago and tell yourself that your favorite gimmick in WWE would be Baron Corbin. You'd punch yourself in the face. Anywho. Tonight, Monday Night Raw, emanated from San Diego. I didn't get to the arena until about 4 o'clock or 1 hour before the show. I think doors opened an hour prior to that. So it was pretty full in there. Missed most dark matches, but did catch what I believe to be all of the main event matches, which was Keith Lee winning a squash against somebody. Didn't recognize him, but I wasn't even at my seat. I just glanced when we walked by. I could see it was Keith Lee and some dude. Also, Jeff Hardy defeated Shelton Benjamin. And there was one more match, too. Now I can't remember what the fuck it was. But I think they did 3 main event matches. And at the time, I was up, using the bathroom or going to get a beer or whatever before we sat down. That reminds me, if you're wondering where my seats exactly were, I kind of pointed them out on the picture there. They're down by that white thing in the bottom right hand. But I took a really shitty selfie from my seats, and I put it on here for you just to give you an idea where I was sitting. This is where I was at. So I was right down on like the front, and the ring was even closer than it looks in that picture. The ring was really close, and I got a full glimpse of everybody making their entrances and a lot of cool videos. However, I wish I would have been 1 or 2 more sections over to the left to where I could have been more in front of the ring and probably been seen a lot on the hard cam. So way kind of tucked off to the side, but I was also really up close. So the seats were good. Relatively inexpensive for a Monday Night Raw. And like I said, next time I go, I think I'm going to splurge and get them front rowers and, try to get my ass on TV, maybe do a run-in or something. We'll see. So anyway, that's where I was sitting for those who were wondering exactly where the seats were. But the show opened up, from what I remember. Bobby Lashley comes out to the ring. We figured he would open the show first based on what we saw at SummerSlam with that whole debacle with Goldberg. Terrible match with a terrible finish, and Goldberg's crazy-ass kid, of course, jumped in the ring and attacked Lashley. And they came out to brag about Goldberg and to brag about the victory and whatnot. And I think MVP kind of goes on to challenge anybody in the locker room, or if anybody wants to step up or whatever. Because when I'm looking at this, I'm like, yeah, what is Lashley going to do? I don't think Goldberg is going to be immediately back. Apparently he only has 2 dates this year, and he's used both of them, but we do have Saudi Arabia on the horizon. I can totally see them running this match back and Goldberg getting another cash grab there. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice. From the Saudi Arabia match. It also feels like they might be going with Roman and Brock as well for Saudi Arabia. But in between that time, because Crown Jewel is in October, we've got Extreme Rules on the horizon. So I'm wondering what Lashley's going to do there. So MVP says some shit or whatever. Damian Priest comes out, newly crowned United States champion, won the title on Saturday from Sheamus, and he challenges Lashley to a match. They have a little scuffle. Damian gets the better of it. Lashley and MVP retreat, and MVP agrees, okay, we'll have this match. We're going to go to the back and get dressed, and we'll be right back out. So we go to commercial. Obviously, we come back, and we've got Damian Priest versus Lashley, and this one I saw coming from the parking lot. I'm like, what's going to happen is they're either going to, because this match is opening the show, so they're either going to have some schmaz and then do the match again right after or in the main event, or we're getting a tag. And sure enough, we're not. 3 minutes into this match, Sheamus just jumps in the ring, starts attacking Damian Priest, and then we're getting a beatdown. Then it was obvious, and I'm like, here we go, playa. The only thing I didn't know was who it was going to be to make the save. Somebody was going to come out and make the save, and we were going to get a tag match. I even said to Elizabeth, I'm like, somebody's coming out, and we're getting a tag. Turned out to be Drew McIntyre, which makes, I guess, somewhat sense. And he hits the ring, helps out, what's-his-face, helps out Damian Priest. And, of course, they get on the mic, and they challenge Sheamus and Bobby Lashley to a championship match, to a tag team match right after the break. And of course, we go to commercial, we come back, now it's a tag. And from what I remember, did they do a DQ? They did a DQ with Sheamus running in, right? Yeah, that's right. So I guess it wasn't like a no contest. It was actually Lashley getting DQ'd. with Sheamus running in there. Then we get the tag team match, and it's McIntyre and Damian Priest, a couple of pretty good-looking guys there, versus Lashley and Sheamus. And I kind of thought that this pairing was a little bit interesting, but also a little bit really predictable. I thought they might be going with Damian Priest and Lashley. Maybe they'll give Damian Priest a title shot, but now that McIntyre's in there, really made me wonder what the hell they're going to do now. They might be putting McIntyre back near the top, maybe giving him another shot at the title or something. In the end, we did get McIntyre and Damian Priest winning. I believe McIntyre nailed Sheamus with the Claymore for the win, if I remember correctly. But the crowd popped for that. As predictable as this was, I can't say enough good things about the San Diego audience, because not only in the beginning of the match, the one-on-one with Lashley and Priest, were they very hot and very just reacting to everything they were doing. They did the same thing here with the tag match, and I remember the pop being pretty big when McIntyre got the victory there. So baby faces win there, and after that, we go backstage to an interview with Doudrop, and I couldn't hear anything she was saying. Luckily, there's a little bit of information here on this on these results I'm reading. The audio, by the way, was bad on all of the... It could have been my seat, actually. It could have been where I was sitting. It might have been better in other parts of the arena, but where I was sitting, anytime they did an interview from backstage, I couldn't hear what anybody was saying. I know for sure Doudrop and Matt Riddle had an interview that I didn't understand a word of it. But from what I understood, Doudrop went on to say that she's going to keep the name Doudrop, which I thought for sure, based on what happened at SummerSlam, the next time Eva Marie and Doudrop got together, she was going to beat the shit out of Eva Marie and say, my name is Piper Niven, bitch, and this is what I'm going by from now on. This is what I was hoping they would do, and they would shed that, but it looks like she's going to keep the name Doudrop, and then she's attacked from behind by Eva Marie. She beats up Doudrop, and they announce the match between the two of them next week on Raw. So we're getting that. And the split is done. So we knew that that was just an entry-level kind of angle for Doudrop to get onto the main roster. But why they changed her name and made her that, I have no idea. Luckily, it's time already to talk about Karrion Kross. This was so fucking funny to me. So I didn't know. I heard Karrion Kross's music hit. I'm like, oh, cool, Kross is here. I had a feeling he might be on Raw right away just to begin his run on the main roster. So out he comes, but he's got this shit. And it was funny, before the music played, I guess this is the case for a couple of different entrances. The Viking Raiders do the same thing. They have to come out before the music plays. So they turn all the lights off on the stage, and then Kross came out there and stood. So he's out there before his music starts playing, and I'm looking, and I see this shit that he's wearing. I see this helmet, but I see all the back tattoos. So the first person I actually think of is Jackson Riker. I was like, is that Jackson Riker? Is he coming out with some new gear? And then Kross's music plays, and I'm like, oh my God, it's Kross. And so I immediately kind of look up, because I got a funny angle on it, and I immediately look up at the screen so I can get like a front shot of whatever the hell he's wearing. And yeah, you guys go to town on that. Skeletor, He-Man, Demolition, Dominatrix, what's his safe word? Fucking crazy. It's slightly less ridiculous than Shorty G. I don't even understand. And like I said earlier, Kross's presentation was the strongest thing about him. You take the best thing about the guy and kill it? All right, WWE, it's your money. Fuck, so he comes out. Maybe we'll get used to this. I don't know. This getup that he's wearing, but, sometimes they try things. I'm not a big fan of what Brian Cage does with that robot shit or whatever. I'm like, why is he doing that? He doesn't need that. So Kross is kind of the same thing here. So he comes out. I think he's going to be taking this off. At least I thought. I thought it was just going to be his entrance gear. He would take off the helmet and those weird little suspenders. But he took off the helmet, but he left the other shit on. So I can't imagine that would be terribly comfortable to wrestle in. But he made his opponent, by the way, was Ricochet. And I was like, they're not going to do. I was just praying. I was like, please don't have Ricochet beat him. Luckily, he didn't. It really wasn't much of a competitive match at all. Ricochet got a couple of moves in, but dominant victory for Karrion Kross. You would think that would be the norm for most of his matches, and he made Ricochet tap out to the cross jacket from what I remember, and it wasn't a very long match at all. But WWE, I don't understand you guys sometimes, and now you've made this guy the brunt of a lot of jokes when he's not. He really shouldn't be treated like that, but good job anyway, WWE. After that, we get John Morrison. A couple of backstage things happen, but I didn't hear any of it. Morrison comes out for Moist TV. It was so funny, that big inflatable, I don't know what it is, a unicorn or a duck or whatever the fuck it is. I could see it before the show. It was hanging out in the hard cam area, just sitting right there. I'm like, what is that inflatable thing? And I put it up on Twitter, and somebody immediately pointed out that Morrison has had that thing out before. So that's going to be for his Moist TV segment, which is going to feature Logan Paul, who's in the house. Logan Paul was in Vegas on Saturday for SummerSlam, and now he's going to be a guest on Moist TV. So Morrison is out there. He brings out Logan Paul, at which time The Miz comes out and kind of interrupts and gets in the way and makes it all about him, which Morrison points out to the crowd. So now you got The Miz and Logan Paul. The fans aren't liking really anybody that's in the ring at this point. So right after that, we get Miz yelling at John, Logan yelling at Miz, and said he could kick his ass and whatnot. And I think he winds up leaving, and that's when I told the story earlier of Logan Paul stopping to sign the kid's belt and take a picture with him. I think he was leaving when Xavier Woods was coming out there. And you guys have to help me. I'm still clueless to Kofi. Hurt? Sick? What's the deal there? Not even sure. I've just somehow missed it. Been a very busy week for me, so I'm completely out of the loop in terms of where the hell Kofi is. But Xavier comes out there, cuts a promo, winds up leading to Xavier Woods versus The Miz after the break. So we go to break and we come back, and this is where things finally get interesting between The Miz and Morrison. I didn't know how many more weeks they were going to be able to hold this off. Feels like they've been teasing it all the way back to when Miz had the briefcase, like earlier on in the year, right? So at some point, these two guys have got to, have got to split and go their separate ways. Miz and Xavier Woods have the match, and of course, typical type of match that seems to happen here. John Morrison makes some commotion outside of the ring, which is enough to distract the Miz or move his attention away from the match, and Xavier is able to roll him up and cradle him and pin him for the win. So Xavier Woods beats the Miz. After the match, Morrison is in the ring with him, trying to help him up or whatnot, and he turns his back, and then the Miz attacks. So finally, we should have the babyface turn of John Morrison that we were expecting to see. Miz kicks John Morrison's ass and hits him with the skull-crushing finale. And now we're off and running here, I guess, with a program between Miz and Morrison. Morrison was interviewed later on backstage. I didn't catch a word of that either because I couldn't hear, so I'm not sure what he said. But I would assume, they're going to be wrestling and facing each other pretty soon. A couple of recap packages, it looks like here, and some backstage segments that I didn't really hear. I did kind of hear the Ripley and Nikki Cross stuff. Nikki kind of asked Ripley to be her tag team partner against Baszler and Jax, and Ripley agreed. So that happened. When did the 24/7 shit happen? I don't see that written on here. I'm not sure when that took place, but they had a pre-tape, obviously, from earlier on in the day where Reginald, I guess, is buying ice cream, and then R-Truth is dressed up as a fucking tree, and Tozawa was in the trash can, and there was like a trampoline or something because Reginald was able to bounce right on top of this food truck or whatever. It was just a ridiculous segment, and apparently keeps the 24/7 title, so they're still going on with that. We get a DQ victory for Mansoor over Jinder Mahal. Did not pay much attention to this match at all. I think it was the referee called for the bell when he was choking him or something like that. So it was just a DQ, whatever. I wasn't even looking at that match at all. Don't care. And then after that, backstage, we get Damian Priest celebrating with Drew McIntyre. And I think we also show Lashley and Sheamus getting in each other's face because earlier, or actually that's what I should have mentioned that earlier in that tag team match when Drew claymored Sheamus for the win. Lashley left. Lashley left Sheamus high and dry. So Sheamus is a little bit pissed. They get in each other's faces a little bit, and they did announce that next week on Raw, we're going to be getting Lashley and Sheamus. So I don't know how this is all going to play up and what the matches exactly are going to be at Extreme Rules. If we're going to get Priest and Sheamus again, and then maybe Lashley and Drew again. I think it might be fun at this point since Lashley doesn't have any clear-cut challenger in front of him, and he probably, as much as I hate to say it, have a little bit of unfinished business left with Goldberg, that maybe you do a multi-man. We haven't had one of those in a while, since Elimination Chamber or something. Maybe you do a 4-way. Maybe you do Priest and Sheamus and Lashley and McIntyre for the title at Extreme Rules in some crazy-ass match. It's possible. I don't know where they're going to go with that, but they set up Sheamus and Lashley next week, so we will see. After that, we got the tag team match between Rhea Ripley and Nikki Cross taking on Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. Shout out to Nia Jax. She's over in SD. The whale's vagina loves them some Nia Jax. I believe she lives here, and I don't know if this is her hometown or not, but the fans seemed to know that she was from San Diego. I think they might have announced, they probably said that in the introductions, but they were cheering for Nia every time she got tagged in and shit. It was pretty funny. In the end, Ripley and Nikki Cross get the win. Rhea hits Shayna Baszler with the Riptide to get the victory in a move and a pinfall that was a lot less dramatic than their big NXT title match at the end of 2019, when Ripley put down a long-running championship reign of Shayna Baszler. And here it's just kind of a flat match on Raw. Nikki with a big dive off the top rope again. She's really good at that. I'll watch Nikki's dives over Charlotte's moonsault twisty things any day of the week. And another shout out to Nikki Cross, who was an absolute treasure during the commercial break. She is so just effortlessly enthusiastic. She is going nuts in the ring, on the outside of the ring during the commercial, hyping up the fans. She is just loaded with energy, and regardless of, how stupid her gimmick may or may not be, she is an absolute joy and a special person, and WWE better not ever let her go. She is terrific. And just watching her off camera, going around trying to hype everybody up, come on, come on, come on. She's fucking adorable. So good for her. Good for Nikki Cross for just being all in on everything all the time. She's got to be one of the hardest workers and probably has one of the most positive attitudes we've ever seen in the history of the business. So you got to love you some Nikki Cross. She's the best. Or Nikki ASH or whatnot. So... oh, apparently they are going to do Miz and Morrison next week, huh? So Lashley and Sheamus, Eva, and Doudrop and Miz and Morrison is all announced for next week. I thought they would hold off Miz and Morrison a little longer than that, but I guess it's going to be next week. And that leaves us with the championship celebration. So we'll talk about that here in just a second. Let me cruise back over here to the chat and knock out some more super chats that were coming in, and also ask you to be a pal and hit the thumbs up button for me. I would very much appreciate it. Deshaun, oh, I got your Kinky Jason. Andy, Uriel, I don't think I've gotten this one yet. Thanks for the $2. Thanks for all the reviews, content this weekend. Good mic work. No problem, dude. It was fun. I love these weekends. It's even crazier. I mean, it's exhausting enough when I'm just up here doing regular podcasts and regular reviews, but I was at 2 of these shows and still managed to be up here, Friday and last night and tonight and all that. So that makes it even extra, difficult and, extra busy, but it's fun because, these are big weekends sometimes in wrestling, and this is one of the most historic we're ever going to be talking about in modern history, in this decade at least. It's amazing, after the pandemic and everything, to come back and have that moment that we had on Friday night. AEW hit an absolute home run. Ratings are in for that, by the way. I think they came in at about a 1.13 million. Very high rating compared to their 750K they got the week before. So CM Punk definitely brings in numbers. He's going to be on Dynamite on Wednesday. So I think it's a no-brainer there. They've been hovering around that million every week or just under it. There's no way they're going to draw less than that. CM Punk's not going to come back on Wednesday and they're going to draw 800,000. They're going to be 1.1 million or something like that. So, or maybe more if they're really lucky. We'll have to see. I mean, this is all out that they're building, so you never know. But they got a shit ton of momentum now. I think even Jim Cornette had to kind of admit that, from what I understand. I don't listen to his rants, but it's kind of hard to deny, that they really hit a huge home run on Friday. And awesome to see him back. I'm ready for Wednesday. Really fucking ready. Barry, what's up, man? Thanks for the $2. You deserve a seat on the middle of the stage. That would be awesome if I could just sit up there on the stage. I'd be into that. Yeah, I think the next time I go, I'm going to, plop a little plop a few bucks down and actually get right up there. That's the next thing that I would like to do. I've only been ringside like twice in my life, so I'd like to do that again for sure. Oh, yeah, Deshaun, I forgot to mention that. Lashley and MVP did call everybody in San Diego cowards. He's right. We kind of are. I agree. I'm very, very pro Lashley, so there's not much he or MVP is going to be able to say to me that's really going to piss me off. I was clapping for him when they were saying that. Glad I didn't get my butt kicked. By the way, there was this fucking obnoxious. He settled down after a bit. He was sitting right behind me, and he's just a loud mouth fucker. You know, when we couldn't hear the interviews on the Tron and stuff, and he's screaming at like the production guys. But the funny thing is, I have no idea what this guy looks like or how big he is or anything. So I'm like right behind him. So I kind of do this like little smooth move where I act like I'm looking up to look at something else, just so I can get a look at him and make sure that he's not bigger than me, because I might have to Sons and 4 this motherfucker. And I look back, and he's just a little twerpy, little 120-pound little fuck with a Hawaiian shirt. He just happened to have a really, really loud voice. But I was like, this guy better shut up, or I'm at least going to turn around and be like, can you stop screaming in my ear? Because like his mouth was right next to my ear. It was louder than the pyro. And then I think maybe he saw my glance, because after that he was relatively okay. But I was like, I'll tell you what, this motherfucker. But anyway, that was kind of funny, and it was super obnoxious. And I had a point to that because I wanted to talk about another fan experience. Oh, and then also I felt bad for him, but right in our row we were sitting, a very, very, very large person sat right next to us. And I felt bad for him, but I felt worse for us because it was really kind of intrusive a little bit. But they ended up leaving, him and his family. He was so apologetic and so nice. He's like, it's okay if I get by and we're gonna come back or whatever. But they left like 5 seats empty next to us, so I was able to kind of move over, get a couple of better camera shots and stuff. So my experience sitting where I was at was interesting. Never really sat exactly in that position before. And I've been all over the arena. I've been close on the floor, mid-level, front, hard cam, all sorts of shit on the entrance ramp, way up top. But I've never, kind of been where I sat this time. So it was different. It was interesting, and it was fun. Thank you, Miz and Morrison next week one-on-one. I did not realize they had advertised that. So anyway, now it gets to the bottom of the hour. It's very cool. It's very easy for the fans facing the hard cam, because they now have the clock that I guess they've only been doing this year or kind of recently. They've been putting the clock on the hard cam, so all the fans can see it too. You know exactly what time it is. You know exactly, when the matches and shit are going to end, or when the show is going to end, I should say. So they start where I'm sitting is where all the balloons and shit are kept for the celebration. So I saw them there when I got there. I'm like, oh, those are Riddle and Randy's balloons. And they start pulling them all out and getting them ready and prepped to go out there. But it's like 24 past the hour or something like that. I'm like, is this shit really going to last 40 minutes? And I'm like, they're giving it away again, because this is going to be the main event deal, is whatever's going on with Riddle and Randy here. But you're not going to have a 38-minute long celebration. Somebody's going to interrupt, and we're going to get a match. Now, last night, I had guaranteed you guys that we were going to get a tag team title rematch between these two teams. That didn't exactly happen. We got a one-on-one instead, which I'm very happy about, because I hate predictability. So they bring everything out there. They deck up the ring and balloons and I think a red carpet and some other bullshit. And Orton and Riddle come out individually. Orton is still a little bit, he doesn't want to go full-blown hug on the guy and shit like that, but they are out there, tag team champions together, doing their, celebration. Riddle says a few things. I think Randy does too. And of course, big surprise, they're interrupted by AJ Styles and Omos. They talk a little bit of shit, a little bit of back and forth. In the end, we wind up getting a challenge laid down for a one-on-one match between AJ and Riddle. So we go to commercial. This is actually when I get up and walk up to the top to use the bathroom, and I snapped that picture that you see on the screen here because I knew they were going to be going to a commercial. And we're going to get Riddle and AJ in the main event, which is not bad. I'll be happy to see Riddle and AJ live in person. I've seen AJ wrestle live only a handful of times, only a couple of times, Survivor Series and something else. Haven't seen him wrestle a ton in my life, not even back in the day. So seeing Styles and Riddle in the ring together was pretty cool. And or AJ is who Riddle made his debut against, right? Didn't he beat him like in his first match? So they're rekindling their deal there. And it was a pretty good match. And again, the San Diego crowd was very into it. People were clapping and cheering and having a good time all around us, very into the match. Nobody was bored. Nobody was giving lackluster responses. Nobody was booing or saying you can't wrestle or this is boring or anything like that. The entire show, the fans seemed into it. So to me, that's a positive thing. We've seen some Monday Night Raw crowds where they just seem dead as hell. They don't seem like they're even paying attention to the match at all or matches. Everybody in the audience here in San Diego was very into it. Incidentally, they did have the top part tarped off on the hard cam side of the arena, but they had the top filled in for TV, which made it look much better. Didn't look to be a huge crowd, though, as you guys can see, the tarping on the picture there. But, there was still a good-looking crowd from my vantage point. Don't know what the attendance is for that. I would guess in the 8,000 range if I had to throw out a number there. That's what I would think was tonight's attendance, but they were into it, man. San Diego was rocking and rolling tonight for mostly the whole show. And in the end, we get Riddle pinning AJ with the Bro Derek and nails him with that. Randy Orton takes out Omos on the outside of the ring with Riddle's scooter. That was a hoot. Fans popped big for that. Randy Orton just starts wearing Omos out with that scooter. It was hilarious and allows Riddle to hit the Bro Derek on AJ Styles for the win. Then Riddle and Randy celebrate together. And AJ, I think AJ eats an RKO, I believe. I don't know if that made television or not, but Randy hit AJ with an RKO and celebrated with Riddle as the show goes off the air. After that, we got right up, got right out of the building, even took a wrong turn getting out of the building. Like when we were walking, we were denied access, so we kind of had to backtrack a little bit. Got all the way to the car, which happened to be right by the exit. We had backed into the parking space, so I just had to turn on the car. Boom, we were right out of there. Boom, we're on the freeway in 3 fucking minutes and home 17 minutes after that. I literally pulled into my garage at 24 minutes past the hour. The show ended at 8 o'clock. That's how quickly I got out of the arena, and I live, several miles away. It's not a quick trip. It's usually about a 20-minute drive, with no traffic, a little bit more if it's busy, but we just got so lucky, got right out of there, and I was home so early. I was able to update my thumbnail a little bit and add an image to the screen here and get ready to go live. So things couldn't have gone smoother in terms of me getting in there and out of there and whatnot. And aside from the little annoying fucker that I had behind me, everybody in my section, the nice family that was next to us was very nice, even though they were kind of in the way a little bit at first. They were so nice. There was kids in front of me with a Lily doll who looked at me funny and winked. I'm a little scared about that, but little girl and little boy in the front row there having a great time. And it was just a kind of a fun atmosphere overall. It really was. People, walking around and just outside the arena and in the building and stuff. Just a fun, just kind of laid back atmosphere and vibe. And that's exactly the way San Diego is. We're laid back here. We ain't crazy. So it was nice. And I was in and out of there in no time. And this is the first time since WrestleMania 3 that I have been to a wrestling show in the town that I live in. Like I said earlier, I've been living in San Diego for 11 years. 3 Raws and a couple of SmackDowns per year are in this building, and I've never gone, ever. Maybe not 3 Raws, definitely a couple, though. And all these years of doing YouTube and stuff, sometimes they would just be in San Diego, and I never, ever had the desire to go. Every time when I lived on the East Coast and traveled and went to all the Attitude Era shows, I was never living in those towns. That was always a 2, 3, 4, sometimes 5-hour drive going to Norfolk or Richmond or Charlotte or Greensboro, Fayetteville or Columbia or whatever, driving all around those towns. It was a little bit of a trek. We're here. It's like, shit, it's 20 minutes down the road. It's very awesome. So it's new to me. Some of you who live in cities, I'm sure you get to have this experience all the time. But anytime I've ever gone to a wrestling show, I've had to travel. Even here, when I went to Survivor Series and stuff, that's in LA. That's a 2-hour drive. Went to Vegas. That's a 5-hour drive. So I'm always driving somewhere, to get to a show. I've never had it so close since I was a little kid. And WrestleMania 3 was held in the same city I was born in, Pontiac, Michigan. So very cool to take me that long to actually experience that. But it was nice, because it's easy. You just go to a show and come back home. No hotel, no overnight drives. No trying to stay awake, nothing like that. I was able to get home and still get up on the YouTube. So anyway, there you have it for my Monday Night Raw experience for August 23rd, 2021 here in San Diego. And next time they're here, I very well may go. I definitely want to get to Double or Nothing in Vegas next May, that hopefully we'll have a convention or StarCast or something attached to that. That I'm really looking forward to doing next year. And I'm sure they will be in town here in San Diego for something. WWE will anyway. Would love to get AEW in here, but WWE is probably all we're going to have for the immediate future. So next time they're back, maybe I'll check out some of the ringside seat action. I'll answer any other super chats and see if there's any other questions or shit you guys want to discuss before I get out of here. But I do want to get out of here soon because I am tired. What a weekend. I got to go back to that annoying job of mine tomorrow. I worked one day last week, so got to get back and finish out the summer strong before I hopefully have a pretty relaxing winter and fall months here. Yes, Mike Elizabeth did go with me to the show. She was rocking her Good Mic Work Raw is War logo t-shirt, so she represented, and she wore her SummerSlam Good Mic Work shirt at SummerSlam, which was kind of cool. Tomas, thank you for the $5, dude. I'm going to be at Raw in Sacramento on October 18th with my brother and girlfriend. Got tickets 6 rows back from ringside. 6 rows is good. That's not too far back. The floor sometimes cannot be fun if you're too far back. But, if you're within those first, 5 to 10 rows, that's pretty good. One time I was second row on the railing. So basically right, or on the entrance railing. So right in the corner, basically. And those were some of the coolest seats I ever had because the wrestlers walk right past you and you're also ringside. So not only are you right next to everybody coming through, but you're also right next to the ring and all the action happens right next to you there. Very cool seats to have. So I've done that before too. But yeah, if you're on the floor, that's fun. Never been up to Sacramento before, so that is going to be a blast. October 18th, you say, huh? Not sure if that's before or after Crown Jewel. I haven't caught the date on that. Raw, possibly 4 hours. I still have got to listen to that entire Nick Khan interview, but he did say that they would benefit from Raw being 4 hours because they would get paid, and that's true. Who would not benefit from that is us, the fans. That would suck. Oh, it's your birthday on that day, Jose. Well, happy early birthday. Pro wrestling fan, been subscribed for a while, but never caught a live stream. Definitely going to start tuning in more. You seem really laid back and enjoy wrestling a lot. Well, thank you for that. I do enjoy wrestling a lot, and I'm definitely laid back. There's too much craziness on YouTube, and I'm so sick of fans having to be subjected to that nonsense. So we try to be a little more rational over here, and welcome. I'm glad you're here, and looking forward to seeing more of you. JJ Leg, appreciate $2 from you. Drew can't challenge Lashley for the title. Right, that's right. I forgot. Okay, thank you for reminding me about that stipulation. Not that they can't get out of that. But, yeah, Nick Khan was joking. He also said SmackDown could be 8 hours. Yeah, I kind of gauged that myself. But in terms of Drew, I forgot about that stip. So, yeah, good. That means, unless he finds a loophole or something, we're not going to have to worry about that in the immediate future. See if there's anything else interesting in here. Oh, yeah. Damn, you think so? Spartan Sprinkles says that Becky turning heel so her and Seth can do a mixed tag with Edge and Beth. Damn. That's interesting. Becky, Seth, Beth, and Edge. That would be fun shit. Man, they might do that. They probably will. I mean, it might be something that Edge requested. I mean, he's wanted to do a lot of things, have matches with specific people. He might have said, hey, it would mean a lot to me if I could have a mixed tag with my wife. That will have to be a first, right? Well, no, maybe not. Have we had mixed tags with 2 married couples before? I feel like we have. Lana or something had to be involved in something like that, right? Well, maybe not. That's interesting, man. That's really interesting. I didn't even think about the potential mixed tag there. And, when you look at it too, I mean, everybody knows that Becky and Seth are married. Everybody knows they have a kid together. It would be weird to have a huge baby face on the same roster as the heel husband. It's been done a couple of times before, but it's hard to really balance that. They really couldn't do it with Triple H and Stephanie. Stephanie was that annoying heel all throughout Triple H's injury. But then Triple H came back and he's a babyface. Well, how's that going to work? He's still supposed to love his wife on TV that the fans hate. And what did they have to do? They had to split them up. So it's like you can't, the fans know too much shit or whatever. So Becky and Seth might have to be on the same page in terms of attitude and shit like that. So I could see that. I don't think they turned her heel just so they could do the mixed tag. I think that might just be a little nice bonus of doing the heel turn, because when you're going to sacrifice that reaction and that merchandise and everything that Becky had, you would think she would come back to a hero's welcome after having a kid, and she kind of did at SummerSlam. But now the word is that what we saw was a heel turn, and she's going to be heel moving forward. So I think I'm one of the few people that actually defend that decision, because I wanted Becky to get a shot at being a heel a couple of years ago before Nia smashed her face into the inside of her skull and splattered blood all over the place and changed the trajectory of Becky's career for the better, honestly. But now might be a cool full circle moment to get Becky back into that heel persona, see what she can do. I think she'll be pretty badass. So I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I still don't like the way she beat Bianca, but this news of her being a heel turn, or her doing the heel turn at SummerSlam, I don't get where the rage is coming from. Everybody's pissed about this, and I kind of don't get it. I'm not happy with the match, but in terms of them turning Becky heel, why not? Like, what's wrong with that? Like, what would be wrong with that? You don't think she'd be a good heel? I do. I got faith in her. So anyway, I'm not really against it as much as everybody else seems to be. But that doesn't mean I'm not against a whole bunch of other dumb shit that WWE does. You know what I mean? So sorry, Trash Gamer, that selfie messed you up. It was a terrible selfie. I know. I had a better selfie at SummerSlam. Oh God, Sports Consigliere, don't even talk about that, because I wouldn't even doubt it. How long do you think until they start calling Karrion Kross just Cross? Something exactly that they would do. Why not? I just hope, Mike Witt, you just hope they don't have Miz bury Morrison like they buried Sandow. Now, the previous turn that happened with Miz and Morrison back in 2009, I was actually talking to Elizabeth about this in the car. They did the deal where when Morrison was leaving WWE, I think it was like a Falls Count Anywhere match or something like that, and Miz beat him, and that was his exit out of WWE, and it was a pretty decisive victory for the Miz, and he would go on to do some crazy things after that. However, this time, I don't think Morrison is leaving, so if they do the match, I'm really hoping it's not Miz just beating the hell out of Morrison, or Morrison can get the victory or whatever, or at least make it fun. Maybe Pro Wrestling Fan, could they be setting up Drew versus Damian Priest? They were very, very buddy-buddy tonight, even backstage together, for the U.S. title, so Priest can get a big win and solidify him as a guy, because they seem like they're high on him since he's finished the Miz feud. We'll never say never about the Miz feud. We thought he was finished with the Miz feud at WrestleMania, and that was able to be rekindled. I definitely believe that WWE is high on Priest. I don't know if they're high enough on him to give him a clean win over Drew McIntyre. Not sure. So you could be right about that, but that's kind of odd that if they do go with that, that means we're getting two heels, Lashley and Sheamus, kind of button heads a bit, and now McIntyre and Priest. Seems weird. So I don't know if they'll do that or not. Have Bayley return at the Rumble? Hell yeah. Becky might embrace the vision. I mean, she's got a lot of bragging rights. Don't forget, she never lost the Raw title. She gave it up. And here she wins the SmackDown title on her first night back. She can claim that she's the greatest ever. Nobody's had a run like me. There's only one person in this company that's defeated Ronda Rousey, and that was me. I'm the longest running women's champion of all time. I never lost the belt, and here I am a champion again. So basically, you can just make this my entire run. I've been champion for 2.5 years now. And she can start talking all that smack. I'm open to giving it a chance. I really am. Of all the dumb things WWE has done in the past, couple of weeks and couple of days, turning Becky heel does not upset me that much. So we will see. Yeah, Nick, you do. You hear about the same shit on Raw every week. It's on a loop. It certainly is. Yeah, that's what I was kind of confused about, Deshaun. My memory was Elizabeth was looking it up on the phone, actually, and trying to, when we were in the car driving, she's like, yeah, the turn happened in 2009, but the match where Miz kind of put him out of WWE was 2011, and that was like in November or something like that, and then they drafted Morrison. So apparently, if we still get the draft, I think that's where a lot of these alliances could start going their separate ways. They've done even Doudrop now. They've done Miz and Morrison. If they do go along with the draft, which I don't know if that's a go or not, they could move them. They could move Eva Marie, or they could move Miz, or whatever. They could send Miz back to SmackDown, I suppose. Wouldn't be surprised. He jumps between those two brands a lot. And Miz turned on R-Truth in 2011. Yeah, my memory is just a mess. I know Miz and R-Truth had that match with Rock and John Cena, but I don't remember anything after that. Asuka getting released and going to AEW. She has not been used. Asuka's been largely absent, which really sucks. Would like to see her back, but hopefully they don't cut her. She's too good. And this, they don't have anything for her shit is ridiculous and infuriating, because you got a weak-ass women's roster, man. You got a lot of injuries right now. We don't know what the fuck's going on with Sasha. Bayley's on the shelf. What do you mean you don't have anything for her? That makes no sense. So what the F, man? What the F? Oh, yeah, put Becky in a suit like Seth. I don't know. Is she going to be taking the spotlight away from Sonya's wonderful suits? Sonya's suit game is on point. I like her stuff. Zane, I don't think Kofi was released quietly. I'm sure there's a story on Kofi. I just don't know what it is. I'm sure Sean or somebody's put up something on him. Yes, the Lily doll winked at me, and I'm still freaked out. Dustin, thanks for reminding me. Appreciate that. Yeah, I don't know where Kofi is, but Xavier came out and did the water jug thing at SummerSlam by himself, and then he was out here tonight on Raw by himself as well. So, going to do the mixed tag in Saudi Arabia. I don't know. I mean, you got to remember, it was kind of hard to get the women's match on Saudi Arabia as it was. Who did that? Natalya and somebody else. So I don't know if they'll do the mixed tag in Saudi Arabia, because it's already apparently hard enough with those weirdos over there just to let women wrestle. But if you put women in the ring with men, you might be treading too close to a dangerous line or something there. I don't know. I'd do it at Extreme Rules or something where you can have a lot of fun. And who knows, you still got to get Beth into this, don't forget. So Beth has got to be brought in somehow. She's doing great commentary work on NXT. She was hilarious during the engagement of Indy Hartwell and Dexter Lumis when she gives Indy the ring. And Wade Barrett is making a huge fuss. What is going on? And she screams at him, "Zip it, Barrett." One of the funniest lines I've ever heard on commentary. Laugh my ass off. So you'd have to get her involved. She's going to have to do something. Something's going to have to happen between her and Becky or whatnot, and then it kind of goes from there. I don't know how you bring those four together, but if you do have heel Becky and heel Seth, how can you not kind of maybe do something with them like they did when they were both babyface champions? So, and Seth's comments will be interesting too. Don't forget he tapped out to Edge. So what's his excuse going to be, and what's he going to say to Edge that's going to be able to convince Edge to do another match? Because they're going to do another one. And Seth will get a victory in that program somewhere. Edge will absolutely put him over at least once. Biggest pop, Zayn, Lesnar, or Punk? Well, I mean, there was more people at SummerSlam, and the Lesnar pop was massive. Although I think I'm still going to give the nod to Punk, because the Lesnar pop was massive for the pop when he first came out. When the music hits and the fans realize it's him, they fucking shit their pants and all jump up, where CM Punk was a longer, more sustained pop where people were just losing their shit for 12 plus minutes. You know, Brock had the big explosion pop, but then it quieted. Where Punk, people were just on their feet screaming the entire time until he finally opened up his mouth and said a word. So I don't think you're going to top Punk. It was really hard to top that in terms of overall reaction and just emotion, you know, from the fans. I mean, it was a feel-good moment for everybody. You know, Punk, you could see it behind his eyes. Shout out to Punk, who himself and many others defended that crying fan. Punk said, hey, if you're making fun of him, you're making fun of me, because I don't know if you noticed, when I was in the entranceway, he was welling up. He was tearing up. It was hard for me not to when we were watching it. You know, not because of any specific undying love to Punk per se, but just because of the moment. You know, what we're witnessing, this is a big deal. And it's kind of cool to see that this kind of reaction and emotion can be generated in 2021 with how desensitized and, you know, programmed to, you know, eat all this shit all the time. So, you know, to me, that's just special, and it's going to go down in history. We're going to remember this weekend as being a big one. You know, SummerSlam and Rampage and CM Punk and Brock and Becky and all this stuff will be hard to forget. And that's good that we can have weekends like this still in the age that we're living in, especially with WWE programming, and wrestling is hot. It's, you know, got a lot of momentum. Yeah, Dustin, I don't think many people did know what Edge was doing. They kind of teased the Brood stuff on SmackDown, but when the Gangrel music hit, my section was marking out a little bit, but overall in the audience, and I took a video of that, by the way, you don't hear a whole lot of reaction. But, you know, the Brood was 23 years ago. You can't expect people to know that, you know. You can't expect little kids decked out in John Cena gear to even know what the fuck they're looking at. But it was, for me, it was just badass, and visually it looks so good. And when Edge's normal music hits, the fans were a little bit more into it. But, you know, you got to remember, those glory days now are getting ever further and further away. You know, back in Austin's heyday of 98 and the feud with Vince, that was 23 years ago now. It's a long time. It's nearly a quarter century ago. So there's going to be a huge portion of WWE's audience that's not going to get those references. But, you know, I don't care. It was still awesome. And I hope WWE will continue to do cool stuff like that. And it's a shame. What do you guys think? If Christian wasn't signed to AEW, do you think they would have brought Gangrel in and recreated that? You know, it would have been weird. I mean, I wouldn't have wanted to see them at ringside or anything, but it would have been cool to see them come up with him and then just do the little thing where they high five or fist bump him and he sends Gangrel and Christian back. They just come through for the entrance. It would be cool if we could see that. But Christian and his AEW run has made that impossible. Mike Witt, no more news on Cole that I saw. Fightful had reported today on Select that as of today, or as of this morning, Cole has not signed a new contract, which I love, because every minute that goes by that he has not signed, the more chance he has to turn up on Wednesday. But you know what? To be honest, if I'm at AEW, I'm pacing myself. Even if Cole is available, I would make Wednesday. I mean, you're going to have Punk coming to Dynamite for his first Dynamite. Some sort of a segment with him and Darby Allin. Not that there's no room for Adam Cole to show up on that show, and it would be really cool to show up, 4 days after you had your last match in WWE? We haven't seen that shit since Luger. But, then again, do you want to space this stuff out, have him come out the week after, let this week kind of still be more of that Punk, that Punk-related energy that we've been experiencing ever since Friday, and then go into Adam Cole. But at the same time, you got a chance for the first time, and it's not going to happen very often where somebody, unless you're like a Wheeler Yuta or you're an NXT talent not really signed to a deal, maybe brought in for them to give a look at you or something like that. But in terms of like a major star competing on both shows within the span of a week, we're not going to get that very often. It's going to take a major oversight like Adam Cole in a contract situation to ever, have that happen again, really, unless, somebody's contract just expires and they decide to jump ship or whatnot. So I can't wait until the next time it happens, but it's not going to be super frequent. So whenever it does happen, it's pretty badass. And if he was able to come in there right after losing to Kyle, That would be cool. But, I'm also thinking future. I'm thinking Arthur Ashe. I'm thinking Daniel Bryan. All the shit we got going on. Don't overwhelm yourself. Don't try to cram too much shit into one show, and just pace yourself and play it cool and bring Cole in when you're ready. Or Cole turns up on Raw or SmackDown. Whatever Cole does, I hope that his return is a surprise, regardless of what of the three brands he comes back on, Raw, SmackDown, or AEW. It's got to be one of those three. Not that he couldn't go back to Ring of Honor. He could, but I think one of those three is the most likely, and I would like us to not know which one it's going to be. I hope the news doesn't break that he signed a new deal with WWE or AEW. I just want him to appear. And he's probably thinking the same thing. I got a chance here to do something that not too many people are lucky enough to get a chance to do. So play it right. Don't let anything out. Keep everything close to the vest, and, just appear when you are ready. And that's what I hope he does. I'm interested, though. Really curious to see how all that's going to shake out and where he's going to go and where he's going to land. Oh, yeah, Gangrel was at Full Gear. I forgot that, too, but I remember it now. Tonight he's 60-40 going to AEW now. Tomorrow he will release where he expects him to show up. Okay. We'll see. Best of luck to Cole, whatever, because, the one thing that makes me nervous about this is if he chooses WWE, he's going to get backlash, because fans are dicks. I saw that tonight on Twitter. I was disgusted with a couple of the responses I got. I was just joking. One of the tweets I made tonight, I said, because due to my seats, I said, look, I'm probably sitting 30 feet away from Vince McMahon right now. What should I ask him? And people were saying, ask him when he's going to die. One person said, when is he going to get a disease with the words stage 4 in them? Come on. Ugh. Sigh. These fans, I tell you, mature as hell, aren't they? So when somebody makes, when somebody makes a decision that might be unpopular with the fans, a personal decision, just like CM Punk said in his promo, a personal decision that he made about his life, that disappointed some fans. Some fans take their disappointment to a whole new level. You had people attacking Alexa Bliss for getting engaged and shit. And you had people attacking Zelina Vega for choosing to stay in WWE. Oh, she's stupid and it's an abusive relationship. Grow the fuck up. And now if Adam Cole decides to stay in WWE, yeah, it might appear to us that would be a crazy decision for him to make based on some of the evidence we've seen with NXT talent. But it is his life, his contract, his career to worry about, not yours. And if he chooses to stay in WWE, you're going to have people attacking him, insulting him. Oh, are you stupid? I guess you like abusive relationships. You're going to hear all of that same shit that these idiots say all the time, and it drives me nuts. So for Adam Cole's sake, I hope he goes to AEW, because I think the backlash on him will be less. You're going to have the anti-AEW people that are going to hate that too and give him all sorts of shit for that. But I don't think it would be as bad as if he stays in WWE and you got people freaking out, tweeting in all caps, how can you be so stupid, this and that. So just for my own sanity, to not have to read some of the responses, I kind of hope Cole bounces and goes to the elite side. But on this channel, we've got Cole's back. Whatever he wants to do is perfectly fine with me. Yeah, Zane G, I even said that when we got to the arena. And even when I saw the seating chart for SummerSlam prior to the event where my tickets were, I'm like, oh, it looks like they're going to have a Royal Rumble-style entrance ramp. And unfortunately, I was not able to see the LED screens, in front of the stage due to my seats, just like I wasn't able to really see the Raw set tonight either. But it did have Royal Rumble vibes, for sure. That's right. Vince McMahon turns 76 years old tomorrow. He posted a video just a couple of weeks ago, fucking leg day, just pumping iron, just really hard, just on his legs. Oh my God, Vince, he's just a beast. That dude is going to be 95, doing curls, fucking running a mile. He's ridiculous. He's ridiculous. Yeah, Lesnar is going to be on SmackDown. Obviously, he confronted Roman Reigns. So at least for the immediate future, he's going to be there. And apparently he is advertised for SmackDown this Friday, which I'm sure should be interesting with him and Reigns and a confrontation and a promo and potentially a challenge laid down. Friday will be interesting, and we'll have a lot to talk about this weekend after we see all that stuff. But anyway, I think I'm going to officially get out of here now. It has been a very long weekend. Started with an amazing Friday night. We watched AEW Rampage together, CM Punk's big triumphant return. Then I got right in my car after the stream and drove overnight to Vegas to be there the next day for SummerSlam. Watched that show, had a great time, came all the way back here, drove home Sunday, yesterday, to watch TakeOver, and we came up last night and did a review, and I talked about SummerSlam as well, and then I was at Monday Night Raw tonight, and to get home and do another live stream. Daddy needs a nap, that's for sure. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of here now. Thank you guys for all of the support, all of the new subscribers, all of the new followers on Twitter. Anybody who engaged with me, left a comment, message, anything like that this weekend. And to those of you I met at the arena at SummerSlam, very great to interact with everybody this weekend. This is what wrestling is all about. It was a blast, and I can't wait for the next big weekend in wrestling. So you guys have an excellent rest of your Monday night, and I will catch you back on this channel either Wednesday night after Dynamite or Thursday afternoon for a recap and a news brief. Just not sure which one of those it's going to be yet, so you better subscribe. Click that little notifications bell while you're at it. You guys take care, and I'll catch you